When Eiko showed Yi the picture of Keitaro's hand's picture. But it was not really Keitaro's hand. The picture was for a left hand and Keitaro has the curse of his right hand. That's how Yi knew about Eiko's curse. Keitaro was hit by the curse in the summer of the 9th grade. And Eiko got tangled up in it. Yi shows him hope, they can get rid of the curse by killing the spirit. Keitaro wishes to save Eiko but he needs to think about it. He wants to help Eiko, as she helped him through his bad times. And pulled him out of his sadness. But taking Yi up on her offer means turning my back on that world, and diving into this mysterious spirit hunting life. The next day, Eiko and Keitaro are late for the first day of university because Eiko can't choose an outfit. Eiko decides to drive to the university. Yi insists on going with them. Eiko doesn't mind taking her along as today is just demo classes. At the university, other students recognize Eiko. She is famous as she was chosen to represent Japan in the International Olympiad in Informatics, and she is already in 4th-year classes. Students gather around her desperate to be friends with her. After meeting the new students, Eiko comes with the easy classes flyers to choose from them. She wants to register for the classes with him. She leaves her new friends and she would rather have fun taking classes with Keitaro. At the university cafe, they browse the flyers to choose classes. Eiko crosses by a scary stories class. Keitaro poses his absolute decline to go to that class. Eiko has always loved scary stories since she was a kid. When he sees her dropping tears he decides to go to the demo. In the class, the teacher introduces a VHS tape. Recorded on it an art major graduation project about taking his own life. A student was driven by the stress of finishing the graduation project, leading him into a state of psychosis. He recorded his own self-immolation and turned it into his own advisor. What is scary about this tape is whoever watches it will find himself become the artist. Die within flame of their own making, or so the story goes. Keitaro is extremely scared, Eiko is driven into it, and Yi obviously enjoying it. The teacher plays the VHS tape. It starts with a man sitting on a chair with gasoline gallons around him. Shadows of people appear around him. Before he pours the gasoline on the floor. He smiles, and then shockingly he turns into Keitaro. To the surprise of the other students and Eiko, he ignites the gasoline, a shadow burns while smiling. The teacher is in shock, he had not seen that in the last time he checked the tape. Then leaves in a hurry to check with a colleague. The students leave the class one by one. Except for Eiko, Yi, and Keitaro. The stuffed toy that Yi holds burns. She put their nails inside these plushies. It's probably protecting Keitaro right now. They have to get rid of the spirit before it burns through her plushies, or Keitaro is going to face a fiery death. Yi uses salt to force the spirit out of the tape and catches it with a doll it can possess. They cannot kill it now, so they have to stop the curse. The curse makes it so that whoever watches the tape becomes the victim dying in it. Yi plans to force the spirit to watch the tape, so it'll be forced to dispel the curse before it becomes its own victim. Yi activates her plan, and Keitaro feels a little comfortable, maybe he did not have to overreact. Suddenly part of his jacket fires up. Eiko extinguishes the fire. Yi checks the toy in the box, and it is still there, unharmed. The spirit is feeling threatened in the box, it could not hurt Keitaro so it went for his clothes. Eiko has something in her room that will help them, she asks Eiko to drive her. Keitaro refuses it, the spirit might light the car on fire, and he does not want to harm anyone. He wants to face it by himself. Yi does not state it, but she thinks that the setup she made might not work successfully. Eiko approaches Keitaro and sits by his side. She mentions something Keitaro has always been doing since they were kids. He has always been protecting her. When they were kids he warned her not to go near a specific pole. Shortly after, an accident happened there. He has always used his mysterious powers to protect her without asking for anything in return. Then the incident when they got cursed happened. He kept blaming himself for what happened to her. Although she made him come with her to that test of courage. He protected her from something scary and he got cursed in return. If he hadn't protected her that day, she would not be here now. She wants to pay him back for all the times he protected her. She wants to help him as he did. Her attention on him makes him tear up. And he asks for their help. Eiko comes up with a plan. They ride into the car, only Keitaro naked, where he can put the only burnable thing out of the window. He covers his right hand with a piece of clothing, so the spirit does not try to burn anything in the car but his covered arm. They drive, and Yai plays the tape. The spirit should transfer if it watched the full video. Keitaro's hand begins burning. He puts his hand out of the window, so the fire is put out by the rushing outside air. The box shakes. Yai holds it tight. The fire is out, but it fires up again. Ika speeds to extinguish the fire. The fire keeps going on and off. Ika keeps speeding. The spirit turns a red light. Trying to kill them, Yai orders Ika not to stop. The tape is almost finished, and the spirit is losing its powers. Yai speeds, terrified of making an accident. Luckily the light turns green on time. Finally, the spirit transfers to the toy. The tape is finished, and the fire is put off. Back at Yai's room, she leaves the toy in her room for her army of spirits to finish it. Eiko drives Keitaro back from the hospital. She apologizes for inviting him to the class. Keitaro blames himself for it, and thanks her for helping him get rid of the spirit and driving him to the hospital. Yai called Eiko when Keitaro was with the doctor. Eiko tells him what Yai told her. Yai figured out where the cursed video came from. By talking to the carcass of the spirit from the video. Someone forced them to finish themselves and recorded the whole thing. They were being bullied. They picked on him to help blow off the stress, and the bullying kept escalating, to the point where they messed with his family. Then the story got so twisted that they blamed the horrified victim for the curse. The curse started with the victimized art student, who sought out his bully and killed them, to state his vengeance and finally rest. But the bully killed by the curse was furious and lingered behind to keep it going. And now, Yai took care of it, and they do not have to worry about it anymore. Keitaro is worried about making new friends, especially after he has heard the story of that curse. But he wishes to stay friends with Ika until they graduate. Ika states her gratitude that he is fine, and she can't wait to see what kind of fun they are going to have in college together. Ika goes back home. In her room there is a smaller room, with a computer in it, and photos of Keitaro with spirits in them. She thought he was not going to survive today. She does not want him to be harmed, but she is addicted to spooky stuff. Her perspective is that the closer she gets to the darkness, the harder he tries to protect her from it. Then she can get to the two things she loves, spooky stuff and him. She is addicted to both. Another night later, Keitaro goes to the welcome event of Rio Club Shore, to work on his social skills. He wants to get his social skills the same as they were before the curse. Eiko had helped him pick the right outfit for that night, and she gave him nice glass frames to look smart. At the welcome event, he meets the president of Shore. His name is Nagayama. He welcomes Keitaro into the club. At the moment, back in Ika's room, she is watching every move of Keitaro with the glasses frames she gave him. Yai enters the room, so Ika shuts down her laptop, making Yai suspicious. She fools Ika by getting her busy talking about Keitaro, and she steals the laptop to check what Eiko has been doing. Ika stops her when she figures out, but she is pretty late. Ika is monitoring audio and video feeds, a heart and breath rate, and a temperature monitor. Yai guesses that there is a camera within the glasses. Yai thinks Ika is doing it out of love, so she decides to help her. Yai notices weird voices by spirits around Keitaro. Yai and Ika sit along to spy on Keitaro. Meanwhile, Keitaro is willing to make new friends. He starts a conversation with a boy and a girl. He stresses finding a common thing among them to talk about. Although, he tries to keep the conversation going. Nagayama comes across Keitaro and invites him to go out with him and others after the welcome party finishes. Keitaro agrees, as it would be a chance to meet new people. They meet after the welcome party and ride in a car together. A sober student drives, while Nagayama offers Keitaro water to help him sober up. They are heading to Complex T. Suddenly, Keitaro gets a wicked chill. When Nagayama notices that, he starts telling Keitaro a story about a suicide club at the university. That shocks Keitaro. Nagayama continues telling the mysterious story. That club pretends to be a normal one, but during their welcome party, they all finish themselves. Keitaro questions why the university does not shut it down in case it's real. It turns out they always change their name and pretend to be a totally different club. You can spot them through one thing they have in common, a name that always appears in their roster, the guy behind the club. If they arrest or stop him, it will stop, but they never did because he always dies in the mass sacrifice. Then the next year, someone else with the same name shows up and the circle keeps running. The name of that guy is Nagayama. The guy himself is telling the story to Keitaro. He thinks the guy is kidding. He feels dizzy and sleepy. On the other side, Yai uses her second pupil and figures out that the guy is possessed by a spirit. Keitaro falls unconscious. Due to the sleeping pills Nagayama put in the water bottle Keitaro drank from. Meanwhile, Yae and Ika do not waste any time and rush to rescue Keitaro from a certain death. Keitaro wakes up, handcuffed, his mouth is gagged and has a rope around his neck. He looks around him and finds students dead. He is the next on the line. Yae looks up. Complex T finds out that back in the 1980s, there were 133 victims there. The spirits behind those incidents convince living humans to take their own lives. But what that spirit accomplishes in pushing students to finish their lives? That is what Yae wants to figure out. They reach the complex, rush into it, and Yae uses her tiny hands to unlock the door. Keitaro is surprised when he sees them. Yae faces Nagayama. He lifts it off the floor, underestimating her. Yae takes out a gold flake safe, opens it, and puts it in his mouth, resulting in kicking the spirit out of him. Shockingly, the guy who was possessed by Nagayama is angry and intends to fire the place up and kill everyone. Yae puts the lighter out of his hand. Although the spirit is out of him, he still acts like that. Obviously, there is something about him made the spirit choose him. Yae does not plan to let go of him. She hits him with the empty glass bottle and knocks him out. Machida is the guy's real name, a student arrested for club-related violence, but released on a suspended sentence. When he went back to his life, people treated him as a criminal, driving him to that. They set the other students free and contacted the police. On their way to the car, Keitaro feels something wrong. He felt a ghost appear, then it was gone. Yae reminds him when she once told him that spirits can kill spirits. Yae explains it more. Technically, spirits are already dead, they cannot die again. But they lose energy over time, and eventually pass on. But some spirits refuse to pass on and try to linger in the world. To do that they need more energy, which they get from consuming other spirits. The consumed spirits don't die but provide their energy to the marauder spirit. And that is what happens when a spirit kills one another. When Keitaro felt the spirit appeared that when Machida harmed himself, the spirit chooses to hang because it puts the victim's body at the right height to consume their guts. And when the spirit disappeared, he'd been consumed. From now on, no more incidents are going to happen at Complex T, and luckily the students were rescued. Keitaro and the others left before the police reached the police. Keitaro is frustrated for being drawn into spiritual stuff even when he tries to make friends. Yae reminds him that spirits are naturally drawn to him, so it would be hard for him to avoid it. It would be better for him to learn to deal with it. Keitaro is convinced of what she said, and he thinks to learn to handle it himself. But also he wants to get rid of the curse and live a normal life. He doubts his abilities of being able to face his fears like Yae do. Keitaro asks how they knew his location and that he needed help. Yae saves the situation, claiming it is an intuition. Unfortunately, Keitaro believes it. Yae and Eiko decide to go camping and invite Keitaro to join them. Keitaro still recovering from the Complex T incident. Keitaro sets the tents up while Yae is taking pictures. Eiko thanks Keitaro for joining them. They were hesitant to go on their own, but because Keitaro joined them they were excited about it. Yae interferes in the conversation and asks Eiko about having a boy spend the night with them. Eiko teases Keitaro saying he is a virgin and not brave enough to try anything with them. Keitaro is enraged about it, so they end up escaping. Keitaro and Yae go fishing their dinner. Firstly, they wish to fish a bucket full of fish, but a couple of hours later they end up having nothing. Yae asks Keitaro if he made up his mind about going after the spirit that caused their curse, and in return, he helps her. Keitaro is still thinking about it. He has been trying to imagine what catching spirits would be like, but the idea of getting cursed again is terrifying him. He is worried Yae will get harmed during it too. Yae challenges him in fishing. If she wins, she gets to decide how to spend her life and whether to risk it or not. They start the challenge. Keitaro catches something first, but it's a frog. Then Yae catches a frog. And for hours, they don't catch anything but frogs and creeps. Eventually, they both lose. Luckily, when they head back to the camp, Eiko has made a magnificent lunch for them. They eat and enjoy their day. In the night, Yae goes to sleep, while Eiko and Keitaro sit together by the campfire. Keitaro inquires if Eiko would get rid of the curse if she can. She states that she does not mind as long as they are the same. Keitaro does not understand what she means. Eiko invites him to go for a walk. While walking, Eiko steps into the river. She confesses to him that she has been writing everything about her curse and their adventures. She wants to research the supernatural, but it's not only the supernatural, she wants to research him too. There, Keitaro decides to help Yae and find a way to get rid of their curse. Eiko asks him to promise to stay with her and go off on his own. Keitaro steps into the water and promises her. When they are about to leave, Eiko sees a shadow jumping off the bridge. She calls Keitaro, but he could not see it. Eiko sees it again jumping. She thinks she needs to rest and they head back to the camp. Keitaro wakes up on the night, he feels a chill. He takes a look out of his tent and sees Eiko hallucinating about going to the bridge. Yae wakes up and they both manage to handcuff her. Yae figures out that Eiko is being controlled by a spirit, who is calling to her. Unfortunately, spirits that control minds can't be transferred to a mindless doll. Keitaro mentions when Eiko saw something on the bridge. There are spirits that force people to jump from the bridge. They are left with one solution, taking Eiko to the bridge, and capturing the spirit that controlling her. On the bridge, Keitaro walks by Eiko, while Yae is observing from a distance. Keitaro senses a spirit in the middle of the bridge. Yae finds it. Yae and Keitaro had a plan already. Yae made dolls and stuffed them with rice. Yae attacks the spirit with her servant spirit. The spirit tries to find a thing to hide in and possess. It heads right away to Keitaro, who attacks it with a toy stuffed with rice, and it transfers to the doll. Keitaro puts it in a bag full of pure salt. Shockingly, Eiko is still controlled. She walks towards the edge. It turns out that it is not one spirit, but 10 spirits. The spirits attack Yae's servant spirit. Meanwhile, Keitaro rushes and holds Eiko before she jumps. The spirits ignore Eiko and go for Keitaro, pulling him off the edge, and making him fall down along with Eiko. Back before they headed to the bridge, Yae had tied Eiko and Keitaro with thick rope in case something went wrong. Not only that, but Keitaro had sensed more than one spirit around the bridge. Keitaro and Eiko managed to survive thanks to the rope. Yae saves her servant spirit from the evil spirit using salt. She catches a spirit, and threatens him, either to go into a toy or let her servant eat it. The spirit finally chooses to go into the toy. That means 8 left. Keitaro frees himself and Eiko and tries to leave the river when he is stopped by 5 spirits. It turns worse when Eiko gets possessed by a spirit. The evil spirits catch him. And the spirit possessing Eiko transfers a spirit to Keitaro's body to possess him too. Eiko has planned for a solution in case that happens. She gave Keitaro a sack of gold flakes. In case he gets possessed, he puts it in his mouth and it will force out the spirit. He spits it out onto a doll, so he captures it, just as Yae told him. Luckily, Yae and Keitaro have prepared. Yae put rice in sacks and tied them to make enough dolls to capture the spirits. That will decrease their numbers while increasing Keitaro and Yae's. Eventually, give them the advantage. Back to the lake, Yae manages to capture another spirit while they are distracted. That makes 4 they have caught so far. Over the lake, there are 3 spirits. Other 3 spirits show up, making them 6. Keitaro thinks they are outnumbered. But smart Yae made her servant eat one and recovered its strength. So now they are evenly matched, 5 on 5. Yae hurts the 4 caught spirits and gives the free ones the choice to end their suffering and get into the dolls. That way she captures all 10 spirits. Yae investigates which one is controlling Eiko. The spirits snitch on him. She stabs him, the other spirits start attacking him. The spirit speaks through Eiko and threatens to kill Yae. Cold blood, Yae makes her servant attack the spirit controlling Eiko, killing him and cutting it into pieces, leading Eiko to pass out. She later wakes up in the tent, not remembering anything. Yae tells her not to try to remember as it would be better to. Keitaro puts her to sleep and leaves her to rest. In the morning, Keitaro wakes up and finds Eiko up. He approaches her and checks up on her. Thankfully this time she is not controlled and she is better. Eiko holds Keitaro's hand. He looks at her in surprise. She tells him that she still doesn't remember last night, but she catches into the familiar warmth of holding his hand. He admits he was scared but he made her a promise. Eiko thanks him and then confesses that she loves him. Keitaro confesses he loves her too. When they go back from camping, Keitaro tells Yae he made a choice and he is going to help her save her mother. He was afraid that getting into spiritual, scary stuff would push him from having a normal life. He figured out he was wrong. He plans to make friends and deal with his supernatural magnetism. He wants to get rid of the curse and start a new life. Eiko was listening to them. Her plan is going like wished. She recommended the tutoring place to Keitaro, and made him her cousin's tutor. She has planned all of that, to be with Keitaro and discover her absolute addiction, the scary supernatural, and fulfill her weird sick desires. When is Keitaro going to find out? What adventures is waiting for him with Yae? Subscribe not to miss the upcoming videos, like to the video, and take a look at the other recaps which sorted in the playlist section. See you in the next one.